The Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs, written by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy, read by Julian Brown. Introduction, a forgotten spiritual classic. The Hermetica is a collection of writings attributed to Thoth, a mythical ancient Egyptian sage whose wisdom is said to have transformed him into a god. Thoth, who was venerated in Egypt from at least 3000 BCE, is credited with the invention of sacred hieroglyphic writing, and his figure, portrayed as a scribe with the head of an ibis, can be seen in many temples and tombs. He is the dispatcher of divine messages and recorder of all human deeds. In the Great Hall of Judgment, the afterlife court of the god Osiris, Thoth would establish whether the deceased had acquired spiritual knowledge and purity, and so deserved a place in the heavens. Thoth was said to have revealed to the ancient Egyptians all knowledge on astronomy, architecture, geometry, medicine, and religion, and was believed by the ancient Greeks to be the architect of the pyramids. The Greeks, who were in awe of the knowledge and spirituality of the Egyptians, identified Thoth with their own god, Hermes, the messenger of the gods and guider of the souls in the realm of the dead. To distinguish the Egyptian Hermes from their own, they gave him the title Trismegistus, meaning thrice great, to honor his sublime wisdom. The books attributed to him became collectively known as the Hermetica. Like many Greek texts, the Hermetic teachings are often presented in the form of dialogues between teacher and pupil. The voices change in the different texts, which can be confusing, so we have chosen to avoid this device and simply present a monologue by Hermes addressed to the reader. Although we have used the familiar term God in the explanatory notes, which accompany each chapter, we have avoided this term in the text itself. Instead, we have used Atum, one of the ancient Egyptian names for the supreme one God. We felt that using this unfamiliar Egyptian name would allow the reader the opportunity to build up their own conceptual picture of what Hermes means by the term, free of any associations they may have with the word God. It is a daunting task to present a new version of any work that is written in a foreign language and uses a distinct and unique conceptual vocabulary. Approaching a text which is also of extreme antiquity and has already been through the hands of a number of translators is doubly difficult. In the ancient Egyptian language, the sound of a word had a magical power which complemented its meaning, a view of language which we unconsciously retain when we talk of spelling a word. Translation inevitably means that we have lost this original power and clarity. Hermes teaches, however, that through the power of the mind, all things are possible. We have tried, through the power of contemplation, which Hermes advocates, to distill the essence of his teachings for a new generation of spiritual seekers. Although human culture has changed beyond recognition from the times of the ancient Egyptians, the essential mysteries of life have remained what they have always been and always will be. For those alive to these mysteries, the writings of Hermes are as relevant today as they were in the distant past. We hope this new version captures as much as possible of the Hermetic vision, playing some small part in restoring to this ancient wisdom the respect that it is due. The Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs, written by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy, Read by Julian Brown. The last words of thrice great Hermes. Wise words, although written by my decaying hand, remain imperishable through time, imbued with the medicine of immortality by the All-Master. Be unseen and undiscovered by all those who will come and go, wandering the wastelands of life. Be hidden until an older heaven births human beings who are worthy of your wisdom. Having sounded this prayer over the works of his hands, Hermes was received in the sanctuary of eternity. Chapter 1. The Prophecies of Hermes. In this chapter, Hermes describes the nature of pure philosophy, but laments that in future generations it will become all but lost. The philosophy that Hermes teaches is not just a clever intellectual exercise. It is about focusing the mind in deep meditation on Atum, an ancient Egyptian name for God. Such pure philosophy is about rising above mere opinions to experience directly the mind of the universe. Using the God-given gift of our own little minds, we can come to know the big mind that creates and maintains the cosmos in beautiful order. For Hermes, spiritual philosophy is not opposed to science, as it often is for us today. The student of spiritual philosophy studies science as a form of devotion to God. Through understanding the secrets of the natural world, he is overcome with a sense of awe and reverence for the Creator. He appreciates the perfect order of the universe, as if he were listening to a grand symphony in which every melody has been exquisitely combined to compose one magnificent harmony. Hermes prophesies, however, that this spiritual philosophy will one day become lost and confused. Speaking from our distant past, he uncannily describes the predicament we find ourselves in today. Pure philosophy has been replaced by the teachings of clever intellectuals with no mystical understanding of life. People have ceased to see the universe as a source of wonder and no longer revere it as the work of God. Spirituality has come to be dismissed by science as primitive superstition. The profound wisdom of the ancient Egyptians is thought of as a dead religion and as little more than an archaeological curiosity. Hermes foretells that Egypt, once the home of spirituality, will become a desolate place, deserted by the gods. Out of compassion for future generations, Hermes writes his wisdom in books and orders them to be hidden. Like a time capsule of truth, Hermes' vision waits for its chance to awaken future generations who are lost and bewildered by life. People such as ourselves. The Prophecies of Hermes. Pure philosophy is spiritual striving through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God. But speaking now in prophecy, I say that in times to come, no one will pursue philosophy with single-mindedness and purity of heart. Those with a grudging and ungenerous temperament will try and prevent men discovering the priceless gift of immortality. Philosophy will become confused, making it hard to comprehend. It will be corrupted by spurious speculation. It will be entangled with bewildering sciences like arithmetic, music, and geometry. The student of pure philosophy studies the sciences, not as fanciful theories, but as devotion to Atum, because they reveal a universe perfectly ordered by the power of number. because measuring the depths of the sea and forces of fire and magnitudes of physical things leads to a reverent awe at the Creator's skill and wisdom, because the mysteries of music bear witness to the unsurpassed talent of the supreme artist, who has beautifully harmonized all things into a single whole, suffused with sweet melodies. To simply love Atum in thought with singleness of heart and to follow the goodness of his will, this is philosophy, unsullied by intrusive cravings for pointless opinions. But I foresee that, in times to come, clever intellectuals will mislead the minds of men, turning them away from pure philosophy. It will be taught that our sacred devotion was ineffectual, and the heartfelt piety and assiduous service with which we Egyptians honor Atum was a waste without reward. Egypt is an image of the heavens, and the whole cosmos dwells there, in this its sanctuary. But the gods will desert the earth and return to heaven, abandoning this land that was once the home of spirituality. Egypt will be forsaken and desolate, bereft of the presence of the gods. It will be overrun by foreigners who will neglect our sacred ways. This holy land of temples and shrines will be filled with corpses and funerals. The sacred Nile will be swollen with blood, and her waters will rise, utterly fouled with gore. Does this make you weep? There is worse to follow. This land, that was a spiritual teacher to all humankind, which loved the gods with such devotion that they deigned to sojourn here on earth, this land will exceed all others in cruelty. The dead will far outnumber the living, and the survivors will be known as Egyptians by their language alone, for in their actions they will be like men of another race. O Egypt, nothing will remain of your religion but an empty tale, which even your own children will not believe. Nothing will be left to tell of your wisdom but old graven stones. Men will be weary of life and will cease seeing the universe as worthy of reverent wonder. Spirituality, the greatest of all blessings, will be threatened with extinction and believed a burden to be scorned. The world will no longer be loved as an incomparable work of Atum, a glorious monument to his primal goodness, an instrument of the divine will to evoke veneration and praise in the beholder. Egypt will be widowed. Every sacred voice will be silenced. Darkness will be preferred to light. No eyes will raise to heaven. The pure will be thought insane, and the impure will be honored as wise. The madman will be believed brave, and the wicked esteemed as good. Knowledge of the immortal soul will be laughed at and denied. No reverent words worthy of heaven will be heard or believed. So I, thrice great Hermes, the first of men to attain all knowledge, have inscribed the secrets of the gods in sacred symbols and holy hieroglyphs on these stone tablets, which I have concealed for a future world that may seek our sacred wisdom. Through all-seeing mind, I myself have been the witness of the invisible things of heaven, and through contemplation, come to knowledge of the truth. This knowing I have set down in these writings. Chapter 2, The Initiation of Hermes. In this chapter, Hermes describes a mystical vision of the creation of the cosmos, upon which all his later teachings are based. Hermes derives his wisdom from a dramatic, mystical revelation. While his mind is alert, yet still and empty, he hears God speaking to him. Hermes asks to be shown the true nature of reality, and suddenly, everything begins to change before him. In a mysterious vision, he witnesses the creation of the world. This vision is not meant to be understood intellectually, but contemplated like images from a dream. However, we can explore a little of its deep meaning. Hermes' first experience is of an all-embracing divine light, which as he watches casts a shadow like dark restless water. Later, he is told that this light is the mind of God, and the dark waters are the unlimited potential out of which God will fashion the universe. This is a mystical vision of the first act of creation, remarkably similar to the modern scientific theory of the Big Bang. An explosion of light and energy slowly cools to become the black womb of space, into which suns and planets, and finally ourselves, are born. This birth, like any birth, is accompanied by pain, and Hermes hears an inarticulate cry of suffering from the turbulent depths. The light then speaks a word which calms the chaotic waters. This word is like a blueprint that will organize a structured cosmos out of the chaos. Modern science might call it the fundamental laws of nature. This word is the first idea in the mind of God, from which everything springs. Initiated into the secrets of the creation, Hermes receives his divine mission from the Supreme Being. Only this knowledge, he is told, can save those who live in darkness. Hermes must become a spiritual guide to all mankind. The initiation of Hermes. My senses were suspended in a mystic sleep, not a weary, full-fed drowsiness, but an alert and conscious emptiness. Released from my body, I flew with my thoughts, and while I soared, it seemed to me a vast and boundless being called my name. Hermes, what are you looking for? Who are you? I asked. I am the way guide, the supreme mind, the thoughts of Atum, the one God. I am with you, always and everywhere. I know your desires. Make your questions conscious, and they will be answered. Show me the nature of reality. Bless me with knowledge of Atum, I begged. Suddenly everything changed before me. Reality was opened out in a moment. I saw the boundless view. All became dissolved in light, united within one joyous love. Yet the light cast a shadow, grim and terrible, which passing downwards became like restless water, chaotically tossing forth spume like smoke. And I heard an unspeakable lament, an inarticulate cry of separation. The light then uttered a word, which calmed the chaotic waters. My guide asked, "Do you understand the secrets of this vision? I am that light, the mind of God, which exists before the chaotic dark waters of potentiality. My calming word is the Son of God, the idea of beautiful order, the harmony of all things with all things. Primal mind is parent of the word, just as, in your own experience, your human mind gives birth to speech. They cannot be divided, one from the other, for life is the union of mind and word. Now, Fix your attention upon the light and become one with it. When he had said this, he looked into me, eye to eye, until trembling I saw in thought limitless power within the light to form an infinite yet ordered world, and I was amazed. I saw in the darkness of the deep chaotic water without form, permeated with a subtle intelligent breath of divine power. Atum's word fell on the fertile waters, making them pregnant with all forms. Ordered by the harmony of the word, the four elements came into being, combining to create the brood of living creatures. The fiery element was articulated as the constellations of the stars and the gods of the seven heavenly bodies, revolving forever in celestial circles. The word then leapt up from the elements of nature and reunited with mind, the maker, leaving mere matter devoid of intelligence. My guide said, "You have perceived the boundless primal idea, which is before the beginning. By Atum's will, the elements of nature were born as reflections of this primal thought in the waters of potentiality. These are the primary things, the prior things, the first principles of all in the universe. Atum's word is the creative idea, the supreme limitless power which nurtures and provides for all the things that through it are created. I have shown you everything. Why do you wait? Write the wisdom you have understood in hieroglyphic characters, carved on stone in the holy sanctuary. Make yourself a spiritual guide to those worthy of the gift of knowledge, so that through you, Atum may save humankind." I was overwhelmed with gratitude to the All-Father who had graced me with the supreme vision. In awe and reverence I prayed, "Please never let me fall away from the knowledge of your being, so that I may enlighten those who are in darkness." Then with his power in me, I began to speak. The aloof laughed at my words, but others knelt at my feet. I told them to stand and receive the seeds of wisdom, which I will sow in you with these teachings. So listen, men of clay. If you do not pay keen attention, my words will fly past you and wing their way back to the source from which they come. Chapter 3. The Being of Atum. In this chapter, Hermes attempts to describe God, Atum. Although God cannot be defined with words, Hermes gives some clues for us to contemplate. God is oneness. Everything is a part of one supreme being. Like the number 1, which is the source of all subsequent numbers, God is the source of all. Yet just as when the number 1 is divided or multiplied by itself, it remains 1. So God constantly remains the oneness. Because he unites everything, his nature is paradoxical. He is the creator who creates himself. He is always hidden from us, yet he is also the world around us. He has no particular name, because all names refer to him. God is the supreme mind. He is everywhere and always. The human mind is an image of the supreme mind. Through the power of imagination, it can roam the universe and be like God in all times and all places. Hermes tells us that if we truly understand the extraordinary power of the human mind, we would then know the nature of God. Everything exists as an idea within the mind of God. He creates all things in the same way that our own minds create thoughts. Just as the nature of mind is to think, so the nature of God is to create. This is not something he did at the beginning of time. He is doing it continuously. God is constantly creating creation and will never stop. God is both the material objects around us and the immaterial thoughts in our mind. The world we see and sense is an illusion, however, compared to the great ideas which only exist in the mind. Above all are the ideas of goodness and beauty. These qualities belong to God alone. They can at best be found imperfectly in the material world, but exist in all their perfection in the immaterial world of the mind. They are so perfect that God is in love with them. God is in love with himself. The being of Atum. Give me your whole awareness. Concentrate your thoughts, for knowledge of Atum's being requires deep insight, which comes only as a gift of grace. It is like a plunging torrent of water, whose swiftness outstrips any man who strives to follow it, leaving behind not only the hearer, but even the teacher himself. To conceive of Atum is difficult. To define him is impossible. The imperfect and impermanent cannot easily apprehend the eternally perfected. Atum is whole and constant. In himself, he is motionless, yet he is self-moving. He is immaculate, incorruptible, and everlasting. He is the supreme, absolute reality. He is filled with ideas which are imperceptible to the senses. And with all-embracing knowledge, Atum is primal mind. He is too great to be called by the name Atum. He is hidden, yet obvious everywhere. His being is known through thought alone, yet we see his form before our eyes. He is bodiless, yet embodied in everything. There is nothing which he is not. He has no name, because all names are his name. He is the unity of all things. So we must know him by all names and call everything Atum. He is the root and source of all. Everything has a source, except this source itself, which springs from nothing. Atum is complete like the number 1, which remains itself, whether multiplied or divided, and yet generates all numbers. Atum is the whole, which contains everything. He is one, not two. He is all, not many. The all is not many separate things, but the oneness that subsumes the parts. The all and the one are identical. You think that things are many when you view them as separate, but when you see they all hang on the one and flow from the one, you will realize they are united, linked together, and connected by a chain of being from the highest to the lowest, all subject to the will of Atum. The cosmos is one as the sun is one. The moon is one and the earth is one. Do you think there are many gods? That's absurd. God is one. Atum alone is the creator of all that is immortal and all that is mutable. If that seems incredible, Just consider yourself. You see, speak, hear, touch, taste, walk, think, and breathe. It is not a different you who does these various things, but one being who does them all. To understand how Atum makes all things, consider a farmer sowing seeds. Here wheat, there barley, now planting a vine, then an apple tree. Just as the same man plants all these seeds, so Atum sows immortality in heaven and change on earth. Throughout the cosmos, he disseminates life and movement, the two great elements that comprise Atum and his creation, and so everything that is. Atum is called Father because he begets all things. And from his example, the wise hold begetting children, the most sacred pursuit of human life. Atum works with nature, within the laws of necessity, causing extinction and renewal, constantly creating creation to display his wisdom. Yet the things that the eye can see are mere phantoms and illusions. Only those things invisible to the eye are real. Above all are the ideas of beauty and goodness. Just as the eye cannot see the being Atum, so it cannot see these great ideas. They are attributes of Atum alone and are inseparable from him. They are so perfectly without blemish that Atum himself is in love with them. There is nothing which Atum lacks, so nothing that he desires. There is nothing that Atum can lose, so nothing can cause him grief. Atum is everything. Atum makes everything, and everything is a part of Atum. Atum therefore makes himself. This is Atum's glory. He is all creative, and this creating is his very being. It is impossible for him ever to stop creating, for Atum can never cease to be. Atum is everywhere. Mind cannot be enclosed, because everything exists within mind. Nothing is so quick and powerful. Just look at your own experience. Imagine yourself in any foreign land, and quick as your intention, you will be there. Think of the ocean, and there you are. You have not moved as things move, but you have traveled nevertheless. Fly up into the heavens. You won't need wings. Nothing can obstruct you, not the burning heat of the sun or the swirling planets. Pass on to the limits of creation. Do you want to break out beyond the boundaries of the cosmos? For your mind, even that is possible. Can you sense what power you possess? If you can do all this, then what about your creator? Try and understand that Atum is mind. This is how he contains the cosmos. All things are thoughts, which the creator thinks. The Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs, written by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy, read by Julian Brown. Chapter 4. Contemplate Creation. In this chapter, Hermes teaches us how to see God by contemplating his creation. When we look at the world only with our physical eyes, God is nowhere to be seen. But if we look with our thoughts, we see with spiritual understanding. Suddenly God is everywhere. In this ecstatic state, everything we see and touch is known to be a part of God. And we understand that God's whole purpose in creating the world was so that through it we could see him. The cosmos is his body, and we can come to know him by contemplating its extraordinary order and beauty. Hermes asks us to consider the constant revolutions of the stars in the night sky, the laws of fate, which he calls necessity, the goodness of everything that has happened and is happening. Could this all be so perfect without a supreme mind which maintains such exquisite order? Could it all just be happening accidentally? He reminds us of the marvel of our own birth. Who created us in the womb? Who perfectly crafted the individual details of our bodies? Statues and portraits don't just happen. They are sculpted and painted. Surely such a work of art, as beautiful and complex as our own physical forms, must be the work of a master craftsman. The modern view is that we are a creation of the laws of nature. Hermes would not disagree with this. He would simply ask, who decreed these laws? He is trying to return us to a childlike sense of awe in the face of the wonders of life. The world is a miracle, yet we take it for granted. If we take the time to reflect, it becomes obvious that we are surrounded by profound mysteries. The universe is a gigantic work of art, signed by an unknown master. Humble amazement is a prerequisite for coming to know God. Contemplate creation. Ask Atum to flash a ray of his illumination into your awareness, giving you the power to grasp in thought his sublime being. For the invisible may only be seen with thoughts, which are themselves invisible. If you can't see thoughts, do you expect to see Atum? Look with your mind, however, and he will appear to you, manifesting himself without reservation throughout the whole universe, so that you may see his image with your eyes and hold it with your two hands. Do you think Atum is invisible? Don't say that. Nothing is more visible than Atum. He created all things, so that through them you could see him. This is Atum's great heart, that he manifests himself in everything. Everything can be known, including the insubstantial. Just as mind is known through thoughts, so Atum is known through his creation. Atum is the all-encompassing author of entirety, weaving everything into the fabric of reality. Because creation is visible, we can see the Creator. And this is the purpose of his creation. Since he is always creating, he can always be seen. So we should think and marvel and realize that we are blessed with knowledge of our Father. To know Atum's being, contemplate him in thought. To see him with your eyes, look at the exquisite order of the cosmos, the necessity which governs everything you perceive, the goodness of all that has been and that is coming to be. Look at matter filled full with life and see Atum pulsating with all he contains. Contemplate the cosmos as his ancient body, which is ever prime and new. See the planets circling in eternal time. See the spiritual fire of the heavens turn to light by the sun and shed as goodness upon the world. See the ever-changing moon, which governs birth, growth, and decay. See the constellation of the Bear, which never rises or sets, but stays ever a fixed point, an axle around which the circle of the Zodiac revolves. See the comets, which are called prophet stars. For when some future fate awaits the world, they emerge for a few days from their invisible home below the circle of the sun. Who is it that maintains such exquisite order? The sun is the greatest god in the heavens, a king to whom all the others pay homage. Yet this mighty god humbly submits to have smaller stars circle above him. Who is it that he obeys with awe. Each star travels its appointed range of space. Why don't all stars run the same course? Who is it who has assigned to each its place? The bear revolves around herself and carries around with her the whole cosmos. Who is it that appointed her this task? Who is it that fixed the earth and confined the sea within its shores? Someone must be the maker and master of all of this. It couldn't just happen. All order must be created. It is only that which is out of measure, which is accidental. Yet even disorder is subject to the master, who has yet to impose order upon it. If only it were possible to grow wings and soar into the air, poised between heaven and earth, you would see the solid ground and flowing rivers, the wandering air, the penetrating fire, the circling stars, and the encompassing heavens. What joy to see all this, borne along by the one impulse, to perceive the unmoved mover moving in all that moves. He who is hidden manifests through all his works. Consider for a moment how you were created in the womb. Think of that skillful workmanship and look for the craftsman who made such a beautiful godlike image. Who traced the circles of your eyes? Who pierced your nostrils, ears, and mouth? Who stretched your sinews and tied them fast? Who built your bones and wrapped your flesh and skin? Who separated your fingers and flattened your feet? Who shaped your heart and hollowed your lungs? Who made your beauty visible and concealed your guts within? How many crafts have been employed? How many works of art created to form one human being? Statues or portraits don't just happen without a sculptor or painter. How such a sublime work, no creator? Chapter 5. The Living Cosmos. In this chapter, Hermes succinctly outlines the essence of his philosophical ideas and paints the picture of the cosmos as a living being, teeming with life. In the beginning, there is unity. Unity separates into two fundamental forces, which, like the negative and positive poles of a battery, generate everything. Hermes describes them as light and life, which become mind and soul. We experience them as thoughts and feelings. The oneness of God is both light and life. These two forces are the parents of the mind of the cosmos. This was experienced by Hermes in his original mystical vision as the Word, which calmed the dark waters, the fundamental laws of nature which bring order to the chaos. The physical cosmos is a perfect reflection of this ordering principle, the mind of the cosmos. The mind of the cosmos, the Word, is in turn a reflection of God. Just as a spoken word reflects the intention of its speaker, since God is all goodness, the cosmos is therefore also good. Because the cosmos is made in the image of its creator, it too is an immortal living being. It is therefore impossible that any part of it can be dead. At its conception, it was filled with energy, which, as modern science has now proved, can neither be created or destroyed. Unlike the myriad forms that it passes through, energy itself is immortal. God is the source of this energy, which, through the laws of nature, creates life. The cosmic mind receives energy from God and gives it to all the things within the cosmos. Through this process, the cosmos is completely saturated with soul, the life force. Everything in it is alive. Nothing is dead, not even so-called inanimate things. The cosmos is a great living being which in turn gives life to all the lesser beings it contains. It is the whole which nourishes its parts, like a parent caring for its children. The living cosmos, the primal mind, which is life and light, gave birth to the mind of the cosmos. The primal mind is ever unmoving, eternal and changeless, containing within it this cosmic mind, which is imperceptible to the senses. The cosmos, which sense perceives, is a copy and image of this eternal cosmic mind, like a reflection in a mirror. First of all and without beginning is Atum. Second is the cosmos, made in his likeness. As the cosmos is a second God, it is also an immortal being. And because everything in the cosmos is a part of the cosmos, it is impossible that any part of it should die. The cosmos is all life. From its first foundations, there has never existed a single thing which was not alive. There is not and has never been and never will be anything in the cosmos that is dead. Atum is light, the everlasting source of energy, the eternal dispenser of life itself. Once energy has been dispensed, its supply is governed by eternal cosmic laws. The cosmos has its being within the eternal energy from which all life issues, so it is impossible for it ever to stop or be destroyed. It is contained and bound together by the eternal life force. The cosmos dispenses this life to all the things within it. It has a twofold movement. Energy is infused into the cosmos from eternity, and it in turn infuses life into all things within it. Mind and soul are manifestations of light and life. Everything moves by the power of soul. The body of the cosmos, within which all bodies are contained, is completely saturated with soul. Soul is entirely illuminated by mind. Mind is totally permeated by Atum. Soul fills and encompasses the whole body of the cosmos. It gives life to the great and perfect living creature which is the cosmos, which in turn gives life to all the lesser living creatures it contains. The cosmos is the whole which generates and nourishes the parts, like a parent caring for its children. It receives its supply of goodness from Atum, and it is this goodness which is the true power of creation. The cosmos is the image of Atum, and since Atum is all goodness, the cosmos is also good. Chapter 6. The Circle of Time. In this chapter, Hermes explores the nature of time and change. Everything in the cosmos is constantly changing. Things are born, pass away, and come into existence again, like old plants dying each winter to return as new shoots each spring. All these changes, however, are governed by unchanging natural laws. In this way, therefore, it could also be said that the cosmos is essentially changeless. Time regulates the natural processes of change in the cosmos. It is measured by the recurring cycles of the stars and the sun, which revolve in fixed and permanent orbits. Unlike our modern picture of time as a straight line from the past to the future, Hermes sees time as a circle. We too actually measure time in circles, however. A day is a circle of time, which begins again when the sun rises each morning. The year is a circle of time measured by the Earth's orbit around the sun. Vaster circles of time are expressed by the movements of the constellations of the stars. All of these cycles eventually bring things back to where they started. It is impossible to say where that is, however, for a circle has no starting point. You cannot say where it begins and where it ends. Hermes ultimately points to a deeper understanding of time. The past has gone and does not exist. The future has yet to happen and does not exist. The present moment passes so quickly that it has no permanence. Before we have even said now, the moment has gone. We can never catch the present, so in what way could it be said to exist? This mystical insight into the illusory nature of time is a way to glimpse the oneness of God, who exists beyond time. For God there is no past, present, and future, only eternity. Freeing ourselves from the illusion of time is yet another way we can experience God. The circle of time. In a sense, the cosmos is changeless, because its motions are determined by unalterable laws, which cause it to revolve eternally, without beginning and end. Its parts manifest, disappear, and are created anew, again and again, in the undulating pulse of time. Through the process of time, life within the cosmos is regulated and maintained. Time renews all things in the cosmos by the circling process of change, measured by the heavenly bodies, returning to their former positions as they revolve around the heavens. The present issues from the past, and the future from the present. Everything is made one by this continuity. Time is like a circle, where all the points are so linked that you cannot say where it begins or ends. For all points both precede and follow one another forever. Yet there is an even deeper understanding. The past has departed and no longer is. The future has not arrived and is yet to be. Even the present does not last, so how can it be said to exist when it doesn't stay still for a moment? Chapter 7. The Gods. In this chapter, Hermes discusses the many powers through which God administers creation. To the ancient Egyptians, the night sky was seen as the body of the black goddess, sprinkled with stars. In the Hermetica, she is known as the great goddess Destiny, whose unalterable laws are written in the unchanging star fields of the constellations. Against the background of these stars circle the planets. Ruled by the great goddess, they administer her fate to all things upon the earth. Although the constellations of the stars contain the destiny of everything, the 5 visible planets and the sun and moon are the forces which administer this destiny. Hermes therefore calls these powers gods. Destiny, working through the planetary gods, governs all of creation. They pour an uninterrupted stream of life force into all forms of matter, making them ceaselessly change from one state to another in a process we call living and dying. The gods are ruled by the goddess Destiny, who makes sure that all they do accords with God's will. The god Ra is the sun, which sends down energy to the earth, whilst God is the hidden light, which cannot be seen with the physical eyes because it is pure energy. Ra is the visible light, placed at the center of our solar system. The sun is an image of God, and as God gives life to the whole universe, so the sun gives life to the animals and plants of the earth. The light of the sun nurtures nature in the same way that the light of God nurtures our souls. The gods. The mind of the cosmos, created from fire and air. The 7 administrators who regulate destiny. The 5 visible planets and the sun and moon whose orbits encompass the world of the senses. These celestial powers, known by thought alone, are called the gods. and they preside over the world. They are ruled over by the goddess Destiny, who transforms everything according to the law of natural growth, creating from the permanent, unchanging reality a permanently changing world. The heavenly bodies are governed by Atum, and from them flows into matter an uninterrupted stream of soul. Matter is like a fertile womb within which all things are conceived. All forms shape matter, and soul energy ceaselessly changes them, one into another. This process is directed by Atum, who infuses each form with soul in proportion to its standing in the scale of being. The earth is the storehouse of all matter, which it donates, and in return it receives life from above. Ra, the sun, unites heaven and earth, sending down energy from above and raising up matter from below. He draws life to himself and gives forth life from himself, ceaselessly lavishing light on all. Ra benefits not only heaven, but even the hidden depths of the earth. Unlike Atum, the hidden light, who is only known in thought through attentive contemplation, Ra exists in space and time, and we may see him with our eyes, shining the brightest in the cosmos. Placed in the center and wearing the cosmos like a wreath around him, he lights up above and below. He lets the cosmos go on its way, but never lets it wander. For like a skillful chariot driver, Ra has tied the cosmos to him, preventing it rushing off in disorder, and his controlling reins are rays of light. The sun is an image of the Creator, who is higher than the heavens. Just as that supreme Creator gave life to the whole universe, Ra gives life to the animals and plants. His material body is the source of visible light, and if there be such a thing as a substance not perceptible to the senses, the light of the sun must contain that substance. Yet what it is, or how it flows, only Atum knows. The sun continuously pours forth light and life. Ra nurtures all vegetation, gathering the first fruits produced by the power of his rays, as if in his mighty hands, bringing out sweet perfumes from the plants. In the same way, our souls, like heavenly flowers, are nurtured by the light of Atum's wisdom, and in return, we should use in his service all that grows within us. The Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs, written by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy, read by Julian Brown. Chapter 8, The Hierarchy of Creation. In this chapter, Hermes summarizes his teachings on the way in which God creates and maintains the cosmos and all it contains. God creates an ordering principle, the mind of the cosmos. This ordering principle continually organizes chaotic matter into a beautifully ordered physical cosmos. Time is one of the principles by which the cosmos is ordered. The existence of time means that everything within the cosmos is constantly changing, but in a measured way. God is the goodness that creates life. The mind of the cosmos is the fundamental laws of nature, the permanent and unchanging principles which govern life. The physical cosmos is the beautiful order of nature within which life exists. Time is the governing principle of the cosmos, which produces change. Constant change is the process of everything living and dying. The cosmic mind is an idea expressed by the mind of God. The physical cosmos is a thought expressed by the mind of the cosmos. At the heart of the cosmos is the life-giving sun, which is an image of the life-giving soul at the heart of every person. The hierarchy of creation. Atum creates the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind creates the cosmos. The cosmos creates time. Time creates change. Again, Atum creates the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind creates the cosmos. The cosmos creates time. Time creates change. The essence of Atum is primal goodness. The essence of the cosmic mind is permanent sameness. The essence of the cosmos is beautiful order. The essence of time is movement. The essence of change is life. Atum works through mind and soul. The cosmic mind works through immortality and duration. The cosmos works through turning and returning. Time works through increase and decrease. Change works through quality and quantity. The cosmic mind is in Atum. The cosmos is in eternity. Time is in the cosmos. Change is in time. The cosmic mind is permanently connected to Atum. The cosmos is made up of thoughts in the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind is an image of Atum. The cosmos is an image of the cosmic mind. The sun is an image of the cosmos. Man is an image of the sun. Chapter 9. The Creation of Humankind. Having discussed the principles by which God created the cosmos, in this chapter, Hermes describes the making of mankind. God created humankind because he wanted there to be a creature capable of appreciating the great beauty of his cosmos. He asks each of the gods who administer the cosmos to provide something to benefit humanity. The sun gives joy. The moon gives sleep. Saturn offers the limits of necessity and the balancing force of justice. Jupiter gives peace, and Mars gives struggle. Venus offers love, and Mercury wisdom. When God hears what the gods will offer, he thinks humankind into existence. At first, humanity is just a thought, a soul. It is unable to tend and look after the earth as God wishes. So God gives each human a mortal body within which to house the immortal soul. To do this, he first creates nature. She is like a beautiful woman, and God makes her mistress of the world. She produces the seeds of natural life. Seeing in the human soul an image of God, nature falls in love and merges with her beloved. This is the blending of body and soul, which produces each one of us. Hence, all human beings have a dual nature, being a combination of immortal soul and mortal body. We honor both sides of our nature when we serve God by administering the natural world for him. Finally, God gives humankind a last great gift, the ability to reproduce. More than this, he makes the process a holy, loving sacrament, which reflects the marriage of matter and spirit that creates the cosmos. The sacred bond of love unites man and woman together so that they may share their essential qualities with each other. The creation of humankind. When the Creator, who for want of a better name we call Atum, had made the second God, which is the cosmos. He was pleased. His creation was beautiful and wholly filled with goodness, and he loved it like his child. In his kindness, Atum wished for there to be a creature capable of appreciating the beauty of his creation. So by an act of will, he created humankind to be an imitator of his divine wisdom and nurturing love. Atum asked each heavenly god in turn, "What can you provide for humanity, which I am about to create?" The sun said it would shine all day, providing laughter as a source of joy for both mortal minds and the boundless universe itself. The moon promised sleep and silence, and to shine by night. Saturn offered justice and necessity. Jupiter gave peace, and Mars struggle. Venus proffered love and pleasure. Mercury, who is also called Hermes, said, "I will make humankind intelligent. I will convey to them wisdom and knowledge of the truth. I will never cease to benefit all humanity." Atum was glad when he heard these words and gave the command that man should come into being. Mind, the All-Father, who is life and light, gave birth to humanity, which bore his own image, and he took delight in his offspring. Joined to the gods by a sense of kinship, humanity worshipped them with piety and holy thoughts, while for their part, the gods watch over humankind with concern and loving mercy. At first, man was solely eternal and spiritual, but Atum saw that his new creation could not tend the earth unless he sheltered him in a material envelope, giving man a mortal body as well as an immortal soul. So Atum bade nature be, and from his voice came a woman's form, so lovely that the gods were smitten with her beauty. Atum made nature mistress of the world. She communed with herself, producing all kinds of seeds, which Atum took hold of with his hands and scattered over the earth, who is the mother of all worldly things. Seeing in man a beautiful image of Atum, nature was filled with insatiable love. She clasped him to her, and they merged to become one in love. Mortal and eternal blended and mingled, so that man may perform the demands of both sources of his nature. Firstly, to serve God, venerating and praising the things of heaven. Secondly, to assist and administer the things of earth, by tilling the soil, navigating the waters, building on the land, and by serving each other, that strongest of bonds that links the human race together. Then Atum, the master of generation, bestowed on humankind the sacrament of reproduction. Full of affection and joy, gladness and yearning, and all the heavenly love that is his being. I would have to explain the nature of this compelling sacred bond that binds a man and a woman together, were it not that each one of us, if we explore our innermost feelings, can experience it for ourselves. Contemplate that supreme moment when each sex infuses itself with the other, one giving forth and the other eagerly embracing. At that moment, through the intermingling of the two natures, the female acquires male vigor and the male is relaxed in female languor. This sweet sacramental act we celebrate is shared in secret, because if performed openly before impure eyes, the ignorant may mock, and the divine power manifesting in both sexes will shy away. Chapter 10. The Birth of Human Culture. In this chapter, Hermes describes how human beings became civilized and created culture under the guidance of the god Osiris and goddess Isis. As human beings slowly awoke to their surroundings, they looked around at their new home and gazed on the creation in awe and wonder. Looking upon the perfection of the cosmos, humanity felt the need to share in the pleasure of creativity. The Creator therefore ordered each of the planetary gods to share with mankind a part of their creative power. The Hermetica teaches that the universe will not be finished until mankind has played his part in the story. The arts and sciences invented by humanity complete the grand plan of destiny. Art completes what nature cannot finish. All those who cooperate with the will of the Creator apply their skill and knowledge to enhance the beauty of the cosmos. The ancient Egyptians believed that all the knowledge necessary for humanity's survival on Earth had been taught to their ancestors by Isis and Osiris. The goddess Isis taught people the arts of sowing and animal husbandry, ensuring that they did not starve, and she showed them the healing uses of herbs and medicine to care for the body. She taught people respect for the dead, how to wrap their bodies in bandages, soaked in oil and spices, and to care for their memories with offerings of fruits and flowers. Osiris gave people laws and justice, and instituted the rites of worship that kept men humble and honest. He ordained the first priests, who were trained to nurture men's souls through the proper use of philosophy and learning. Together, these parents of the human race were believed by the ancient Egyptians to have lifted their ancestors out of savagery. In life, Isis continued to look after humanity, and Osiris, the Lord of Souls, watched over the spirits of the dead. They were worshipped for thousands of years at temples all over Egypt until late Roman times. The birth of human culture. Humanity looked in awe upon the beauty and everlasting duration of creation, the exquisite sky flooded with sunlight, the majesty of the dark night lit by celestial torches as the holy planetary powers traced their paths in the heavens in fixed and steady meter, ordering the growth of things with their secret infusions. Men looked with wonder and questioning, and having observed the Maker's masterpiece, wanted to create things for themselves. Their Father gave permission, so the gods who administer the cosmos each shared with humanity a part of their power. Since the world is Atum's handiwork, those who maintain and enhance its beauty are cooperating with the will of Atum by contributing their bodily strength in daily care and labor to make things assume the shape which his purpose has designed. Chance is movement without order, and skill is the force which creates order. The earth is kept in order by means of humanity's knowledge and application of the arts and sciences, for Atum willed that the universe should not be complete until man had played his part. Atum, the fabricator of the cosmos, graced the earth for a little time with our great father Osiris and the great goddess Isis, that they might give us the help we so much needed. They brought humanity divine religion and stopped the savagery of mutual slaughter. They established rites of worship in correspondence to the sacred powers of the heavens. They consecrated temples and instituted sacrificial offerings to the gods that were their ancestors. They gave the gifts of food and shelter. They taught men to swathe the decaying corpses of the dead. Having learnt Atum's secret laws, they became lawgivers to humankind. They introduced the mighty god of oaths as founder of pledges and good faith, and so filled the world with justice. They devised the initiation and training of the prophet priests, so that through philosophy they might nurture men's souls and cure sickness of the body with the healing arts. Chapter 11. Man is a marvel. In this chapter, Hermes discusses the nature of mankind and his special relationship with God. God, the cosmos, and man are the three great beings. The cosmos is an image of God, and man is an image of the cosmos. Each is made up of many parts, yet each is greater than the sum of these parts. Man was created to be a vehicle through which God could continue to bring order and beauty to the cosmos. All beings have soul, the life force, within them, but only human beings possess the power of mind, with which we can contemplate the cosmos and come to know God. Human beings are the meeting place of spirit and matter. We have, therefore, a dual nature. We are mind, enclosed by a physical body. The human mind is an image of God's mind. It is immortal, eternal, divine, and free. The human body, on the other hand, is mortal and controlled by the laws of destiny, which are governed by the stars. Hermes dares to suggest that this unique dual nature even places human beings above the gods. The gods, the heavenly bodies, are confined within their permanent orbits in the heavens and will never move beyond them. A human being, however, may both be on the earth and through the power of his mind ascend to the heavens. In the 20th century, we have used this power to journey literally to the stars and reach back through telescopes to see the origin of the universe. Being both spirit and matter, man is an intermediary between these two great principles. He is greater than beings who are merely mortal and above those who are purely immortal. He shares in the creative power of God. He, even with his mind, creates gods in his own human image. Hermes concludes that man is a marvel, worthy of wonder and reverence, a sentiment that fueled the humanism of the Renaissance. The purpose of human life is to rise above our merely human nature and awaken our divine nature. Human beings have the unique potential to know God, and God's greatest wish is that we fulfill this potential. Man is a marvel. Atum is first, the cosmos is second, and man is third. Atum is one, the cosmos is one, so is man. For like the cosmos, he is a whole made up of different diverse parts. The Maker made man to govern with him, and if man accepts this function fully, he becomes a vehicle of order in the cosmos. Man may know himself, and so know the cosmos, by being aware that he is an image of Atum and of the cosmos. He differs from other living things in that he possesses mind. Through mind, he may commune with the cosmos, which is the second God, and by thought, he may come to knowledge of Atum, the one God. The human body encloses pure mind, as if within a walled garden, which shelters and secludes it, so that it may live in peace. Man has this twofold nature. In his body he is mortal, and in his intelligence he is immortal. He is exalted above heaven, but is born a slave to destiny. He is bisexual, as his father is bisexual. He is sleepless, as his father is sleepless. Yet he is dominated by carnal desires and lost in forgetfulness. Of all beings that have soul, only man has a twofold nature. One part, called the image of Atum, is single, undivided, spiritual, and eternal. The other part is made of the four material elements. One comes from the primal mind. It has the power of the Creator and is able to know Atum. The other is put in man by the revolution of the heavens. Man is the most divine of all beings, for amongst all living things, Atum associates with him only, speaking to him in dreams at night, foretelling the future for him in the flight of birds, the bowels of beasts, and the whispering oak. All other living things inhabit only one part of the cosmos: fishes in water, animals on the earth, birds in the air. Man penetrates all of these elements. With his sense of sight, he even grasps the heavens. To speak without fear, human beings are above the gods of heaven, or at least they're equal, for the gods will never pass their celestial boundaries and descend to earth. But a man may ascend to heaven, and what is more, he may do so without leaving the earth. So vast an expanse can his power encompass. By Atum's will, humankind is compacted of both divinity and mortality. He is more than merely mortal, and greater than the purely immortal. Man is a marvel, due honor and reverence. He takes on the attributes of the gods, as if he were one of their number. He is familiar with the gods, because he knows he springs from the same source. He raises reverent eyes to heaven above and tends the earth below. He is blessed by being the intermediary. He loves all below him and is loved by all above him. Confident of his divinity, he throws off his solely human nature. He has access to all. His keenness of thought descends to the depths of the sea. Heaven is not too high for the reach of his wisdom. His quick wits penetrate the elements. Air cannot blind his mental vision with its thickest fog. Dense earth cannot impede him. Deep water cannot blur his gaze. Man is all things. Man is everywhere. Man not only receives the light of divine life, but gives it as well. He not only ascends to God, but even creates gods, just as Atum has willed that the inner man he created in his likeness. So we on earth create the gods in our human image. Is this not worthy of wonder? There are then these three: Atum, cosmos, man. The cosmos is contained by Atum. Man is contained by the cosmos. The cosmos is the son of Atum. Man is the son of the cosmos, and the grandson, so to speak, of Atum. Atum does not ignore man, but acknowledges him fully, as he wishes to be fully acknowledged by man. For this alone is man's purpose and salvation, the ascent to heaven and the knowledge of Atum. Chapter 12: The Zodiac and Destiny. In this chapter, Hermes explains the power of the Zodiac that controls the fate of men, and the possibility of becoming free from its limiting constraints. God created humans to appreciate the awesome wonder of his universe, to be themselves a beautiful embellishment of the cosmos, and to share in God's creative powers and participate in the work of creation. The heavenly gods, the planets, who had already bestowed on man some of their own power, now urge the Creator to be cautious. They fear that man will use his inquisitive mind for destructive as well as constructive purposes. Man's powers, they complain, are too great and unlimited, and therefore dangerous to himself and the order of the cosmos. God responds to their concerns by creating the Zodiac. This celestial mechanism will control the fate of men and be ruled over by the goddess Destiny. She sows the seeds of a person's fate, which grow and develop under the constraints of necessity, the limits and demands of physical nature, to shape every human life. It is a man's lot to live the life prescribed for him by his fate. Very few human beings are capable of escaping from the determining influence of the Zodiac. Man's earthly life is controlled by the power of destiny, through the physical limitations of the mortal human body. However, if a man's mind is illuminated by the light of God, he becomes free from these celestial influences, for even the gods are powerless before God. Hermes teaches us that it is our duty not simply to acquiesce in our fate, but rather, through intense contemplation of God, to rise above our merely mortal nature and awaken our immortal soul. The Zodiac and Destiny. When the Creator had created this beautifully ordered universe, he wanted to order the world also. So he sent down man, a mortal creature made in the image of an immortal being, to be an embellishment of the divine body of the cosmos. It is man's function to complete the work of Atum. He was made to view the universe with awe and wonder, and to come to know its maker. At first the heavenly gods complained, saying, "You are being rash in creating humanity. They see with inquisitive eyes and hear what they have no right to hear. They reach out with audacious hands. They will dig up the roots of plants and investigate the properties of stones. They will dissect the lower animals and one another also. They will seek to discover how it is that they are alive and what is hidden within. They will cut down the woods of their native land and sail across the sea to see what lies there. They will dig mines and search the uttermost depths of the earth. All this might be bearable, but they will do much more. They will press on to explore the world above, seeking by observation to discover the laws that govern the movements of the heavens." Atum replied, "I will build the Zodiac, a secret mechanism in the stars, linked to unerring and inevitable fate. The lives of men from birth to final destruction shall be controlled by the hidden workings of this mechanism." And when the mechanism began to work, the keen-eyed goddess Destiny supervised and checked its movements. Through this mechanism, destiny and necessity are cemented together. Destiny sows the seed, necessity compels the results. In the wake of destiny and necessity comes order, the interweaving of events in time. Atum implants each human soul in flesh by means of the gods who circle in heaven. It is a man's lot to live his life according to the fate determined for him by these circling celestial powers, and then to pass away and be resolved into the elements. There are some whose name will live on through the memorials of their mighty handiwork, but the names of the many will fade into darkness. Few can escape their fate or guard against the terrible influence of the Zodiac, for the stars are instruments of destiny, which bring all things to pass in the world of men. If, however, the rational part of a man's soul is illuminated by a single ray of Atum's light, The workings of these gods is as nothing, for all gods are powerless before the supreme light. But such men are few. Most are led and driven by the gods which govern earthly life, using our bodies as the instruments of destiny. To my way of thinking, however, it is our duty not simply to acquiesce in our human state, but through intense contemplation of divine things, to detach ourselves from our merely mortal nature. Chapter 13. The Universal and the Particular. In this chapter, Hermes clarifies how the Zodiac makes each individual member of the human species unique. Everything has a form. A table, for example, is a horizontal surface supported by legs. This is the universal form, which all tables share. Every individual table shares the universal form of all tables, but it also has a unique, particular form by which we know it to be this table and not that one. One table is large and made of oak. Another table is small and made of plastic. Both are unique, and yet both are still tables. If anything deviates too far from this universal form, we would no longer call it a table. If a table were to be smashed into pieces, for example, it would have changed form, and we would now call it something else. Firewood, perhaps. Everything is a particular version of a universal form. Every animal, for example, is both unique and a member of a particular species. All human beings share the quality of being human, but each individual has unique characteristics by which we may tell them apart from other members of our species. Each one of us is a particular version of the universal form, human being. This quality of humanness is unchanging and permanent. We are very different from our ancestors, but we are no more human. The particular forms are always changing. In a single human life, we change from being a baby to become an adult, and finally an elder. We never remain the same, yet birth, mortality, and death are all contained within the universal form of a human life. Hermes compares the constant universal forms to the fixed constellations of the stars. He compares the changing particular forms to the changing relationships between the stars as they revolve in the heavens. Our fundamental human nature remains the same throughout our life, but our individual fate changes in accordance with the constantly changing patterns of the stars. As in astrology, Hermes teaches that our individual destiny is created by the positions of the planets at our moment of birth. These are the gods who take charge of us, controlling our bodies and shaping our souls. The universal and the particular. Atum arranged the constellations of the Zodiac in harmony with the movements of nature and charged them with producing all the forms of the animals. When these gods had used their different powers, there emerged four-footed beasts, creeping things, fishes and winged birds, grass and flowering herbs, all according to their different natures, and each containing the seed of the continuance of their species. Every living thing has its own unique form, given to it by the power of the Zodiac. This form is appropriate to its species, yet each is individual. The human race, for example, shares a common universal form by which we know that a man is a man. Yet all human beings have a distinctly different particular form, of which no two are entirely alike. Each particular form is unique because it inhabits a unique time and place. The particular forms change in every moment of every hour as the gods of the Zodiac revolve in their celestial circle. The universal forms do not change, just as the constellations remain the same, but instant by instant, the particular forms transform as the sphere of heaven changes as it turns. The sky is wet, then dry, cold, then hot, bright, then dark. But these rapidly alternating forms are all subsumed under the universal, unchanging form of the sky. The earth is ever-changing, generating, producing, yielding different crops, yet it remains the earth. Water may be standing or flowing, but it is still water. The human body is an earthly temple constructed by the power of the Zodiac, which makes myriad forms from simple archetypes. There are 12 signs of the Zodiac, and the forms they produce fall into 12 divisions. They are, however, inseparably united in their action. Nature makes the human body so that its constitution resonates with the patterns of the stars in such a way that they mutually affect one another. When we are born, the planetary gods who are at that time on duty as ministers of birth take charge of us. These particular powers that change, according to the rotation of the planets, make their way in through the body and mold the shape of our souls. They penetrate our nerves and marrow, veins and arteries, even our innermost organs. Chapter 14. Incarnation of the Soul. In this chapter, Hermes reveals how souls incarnate into physical bodies. All souls share the same essential nature. They are neither male nor female, as such differentiating characteristics exist only in the body. All souls are part of the one soul of the cosmos. God has two servants which look after the souls. The keeper of souls cares for disembodied souls, and the conductor of souls sends them down into physical incarnation. Nature creates the individual body into which a soul incarnates. The power that Hermes calls memory ensures that this body conforms to the universal form of the human species. The power Hermes calls skill makes sure that each individual body is a fitting home for the particular soul it houses. Our individual characteristics are governed by the qualities of the gods presiding over the moment of our incarnation. If the gods present at our birth are peaceful, we will be peaceful by nature. If they are warlike, we will be aggressive. This is why astrologers say, for example, that those born at the time of Aries have certain characteristics, whilst those born at the time of Capricorn have a different nature. Those gods who accompany the soul at the moment of birth affect the instinctual nature of the soul. Those that have their effect later, in adolescence, affect the rational part of the soul. Before it incarnates, the soul is already wrapped in a spiritual body. When this wrapping is thin and clear, the soul is intelligent. However, when this wrapping is dense and opaque, the soul has limited vision and is only aware of its immediate situation. As a soul sinks into incarnation, it forgets its own nature and takes on the qualities of the gods who have shut it into a human body. Hermes describes a vision of disembodied souls about to make their journey into physical form. They are filled with fear and horror at the fate which awaits them. They cannot bear the prospect of such imprisonment. Incarnation of the soul. All souls are part of one soul, which is the soul of the cosmos. Souls all have one nature. They are neither male nor female. Such differences of sex arise only in the body. In the world above there are two gods, who are servants of Atum's goodness, called the Keeper of Souls and the Conductor of Souls. The Keeper is in charge of disembodied souls. The Conductor sends down these souls from time to time into physical incarnation. Nature works alongside these gods, making mortal vessels into which souls are poured. Nature also has two assistants, called memory and skill. Memory ensures that nature creates individual forms that are copies of the primal universal forms. Skill ensures that the individual frame is fashioned in conformity with the soul, which will embody it, seeing to it that lively souls have lively bodies, sluggish souls have sluggish bodies, powerful souls have powerful bodies. The soul, which is spiritual, has its own wrappings, which are also spiritual. These are coats made of air. When such coats are thin and transparent, the soul is intelligent. When they are dense and muddied, like the air in stormy weather, the soul cannot see far, but is only aware of its immediate predicament. The differences in character of the Pharaohs are not determined by the nature of their soul, for all kingly souls are godlike, but by the gods that escort the soul into incarnation. Souls of such quality that incarnate for so high a purpose do not descend without attendants, for divine justice knows how to assign to each his due, even when exiled from the happy land. When the soul is accompanied by warlike gods, the Pharaoh will wage war. When the gods are peaceful, he will maintain peace. When they are musical, he will make music. When they are just, he will rule wisely. When they are lovers of truth, he will be a philosopher. For souls by necessity cling to the temperament of the gods who bring them down to earth. For when they sink into the human condition, they forget their own nature and are conscious only of the disposition of those who have shut them in this mortal tomb. The forces which accompany the soul do not arrive together. Some enter with the soul at the moment of birth and act on the irrational parts of the soul. The purer forces arrive at adolescence and cooperate with the rational parts of the soul. I have seen a vision of souls about to be shut up in bodies. Some of them wailed and moaned. Some struggled against their doom, like noble beasts caught by crafty hunters, dragged away from their wild home. One shrieked, and looking up and down exclaimed, "O heaven, source of being, bright shining stars and unfailing sun and moon, light and life breath of the One, all you that share our home. How cruel it is that we are being torn away from such celestial splendor. We are to be expelled from this holy atmosphere and from this blissful life we live here, to be imprisoned in a mean and sorry place. What hard necessities wait for us? What hateful thing will we have to do to meet the needs of a body that will quickly perish? Our eyes will see little, and only through the fluid which these orbs contain. And when we see our vast heavenly home contracted to a size as small as an eye, our sorrow will never cease. We shall not even see clearly, for we have been condemned to darkness. And when we hear our brothers and sisters blowing with the wind, we shall grieve that we are no longer breathing in unison with them. Chapter 15. Death and Immortality. In this chapter, Hermes explores the nature of death and the fate of the soul which survives it. From mankind's perspective, time is a destroyer. Through the process of time, we age and die. From a cosmic perspective, time is an endlessly repeating cycle measured by the constant revolutions of the stars. Whilst the things of the earth are always changing, the orbits of the stars always remain the same. Hermes asks, could something as impermanent and transitory as our earthly existence be regarded as anything other than an illusion? Yet this illusion arises from an underlying permanent reality. The discovery of the permanent within the impermanent is the reward of the spiritual quest. Hermes teaches that we must accept the inevitable transitory nature of all physical things. Everything is in a process of being born and then dying. The old must pass away so that the new can come into existence. New shoots are born from the decaying remains of old vegetation, and these new shoots will in turn eventually decay and die. He teaches, however, that a human birth is not the beginning of the soul, only of its incarnation as that particular person. Death is simply the end of this particular person and the soul's transformation into another state. Death is just the discarding of a worn-out body. Most people are ignorant of this fact and therefore needlessly fear death. After leaving the body at death, the individual soul is judged by the chief of the gods to see if it is pure and honorable. Pure souls are assigned to a heavenly realm. Ignorant souls fall once again into the material realms and are reincarnated. A soul which during its earthly life has come to know God will have become all mind. When it leaves the body, it takes on a body of light and is freed from all limitations. Such an enlightened soul has recognized that its essential nature is godlike, and on death it communes with God. It has run the race of purity and is now completely spiritual and divine. Such a soul has become a god. Death and immortality. The end of becoming is the beginning of destruction. The end of destruction is the beginning of becoming. Everything on earth must be destroyed, for without destruction, nothing can be created. The new comes out of the old. Every birth of living flesh, like every growth of crop from seed, will be followed by destruction. But from decay comes renewal through the circling course of the celestial gods and the power of nature, who has her being in the being of Atum. For man, time is a destroyer, but for the cosmos, it is an ever-turning wheel. These earthly forms that come and go are illusions. How can something be real which never stays the same? But these transitory illusory things arise from the underlying permanent reality. Birth is not the beginning of life, only of an individual's awareness. Change into another state is not death, only the ending of this awareness. Most people are ignorant of the truth and therefore afraid of death, believing it to be the greatest of all evils. But death is only the dissolution of a worn-out body. Our term of service as guardians of the world is ended when we are freed from the bonds of this mortal frame and restored, cleansed and purified to the primal condition of our higher nature. After quitting the body, mind, which is divine by nature, is freed from all containment. Taking on a body of light, it ranges through all space, leaving the soul to be judged and punished according to its deserts. Souls do not all go to the same place, nor to different places at random. Rather, each is allocated to a place that fits its nature. When a soul leaves the body, it undergoes a trial and investigation by the chief of the gods. When he finds a soul to be honorable and pure, he allows it to live in a region that corresponds to its characteristics. But if he finds it stained with incurable ignorance, he hurls it down to the storms and whirlwinds where it is eternally tossed between sky and earth on the billowing air. Only a good soul is spiritual and divine, having wronged no one and come to know Atum. Such a soul has run the race of purity and becomes all mind. After it leaves its physical form, it becomes a spirit in a body of light so that it may serve Atum. At the dissolution of the body, first the physical form is transformed and is no longer visible. The vital spirit returns to the atmosphere. The bodily senses go back to the universe and recombine in new ways to do other work. Then the soul mounts upwards through the structures of the heavens. In the first zone, it is relieved of growth and decay. In the second, evil and cunning. In the third, lust and deceiving desire. In the fourth, domineering arrogance. In the fifth, unbalanced audacity and rashness. In the sixth, greed for wealth. In the seventh, deceit and falsehood. Having been stripped of all that was put upon it by the structures of the heavens, the soul now possesses its own proper power and may ascend to the 8th sphere, rejoicing with all those that welcome it and singing psalms to the Father. The gods that dwell above the 8th sphere sing praises with a voice that is theirs alone, call each soul to surrender to the gods, and so each one becomes itself a god, by entering communion with Atum. This is primal goodness. This is the consummation of true knowledge. Having been initiated into immortality, a human soul, now transformed into a god, joins the gods who dance and sing in celebration of the glorious victory of the soul. Chapter 16, Ignorance of the Soul. In this chapter, Hermes explains that human life is an opportunity to come to know God, but that to fulfill this divine purpose, we must cease to be enslaved by the body. The limitations imposed on the soul by the physical body mean that human life is inevitably difficult, but our hope of eternal life rests on how we live our present lives. Earthly existence is an opportunity to train the soul so that at death it does not lose its way but travels straight to heaven. Everything material, even our own body, is foreign to our essential spiritual nature. Unfortunately, We become so caught up with the transitory sensual pleasures of life that we are unaware of our eternal soul. The body should be the slave of the soul, not its master. Hermes assures us that there is a way to free ourselves from the torments of life. These, he tells us, are simply caused by our own ignorance. He exhorts us to free ourselves from our enslavement, develop our inner vision, and use the power of our mind to experience the mind of God. Why give yourselves to death when you could be immortal? He asks. Hermes assures us that the haven of peace awaits those who rise to his challenge. Man is made in the image of God and can therefore rise to become one with God. Only like can know like. It is our fear that separates us from the truth, our lack of belief in ourselves that binds us to the earth. Man has the power to ascend into heaven and yet crawls on his belly through the dust. In Hermes' eyes, mankind's greatest error is that he has the power to know God and yet does not use it. Simply wishing to know God is enough to set us on the road to enlightenment. The spiritual path is not difficult, for as we awaken from our ignorance, God comes to us. At times and places where we least expect it, suddenly we are aware that God is with us. The end of the spiritual journey is the realization that He is everywhere and everything. Ignorance of the soul. It is impossible to be permanently happy while attached to a body. A man should train his soul in this life so that when he enters the other world, where he is able to see Atum, he does not lose his way. Each soul's hope of eternal life rests in his life here on earth. But many cannot believe this, seeing it as an empty story to be laughed at. For the possessions of this life are too pleasant, and such pleasures grip the soul by the throat, holding it down to earth. Our possessions possess us. We were not born with possessions, but acquired them later. Everything a man uses to gratify his body is alien to his original godlike nature. Not only possessions, even the body is foreign to our true self. The mind of the cosmos is known through thought alone. A soul with no inner vision is blind to Atum's goodness, tossed by the sea of passions which the body breeds. What fire burns like impurity? What hungry predator has the power to maim the body as impurity does to mutilate the soul? Can't you see the torture that the impure soul endures? It shrieks, "I am burning, I am on fire, I don't know what to say or do, I am devoured by the miseries that possess me." Are not such cries the appeals of a soul in torment? Such a soul bears the body like a burden, as its master, not as its slave. Tear off this cloak of darkness. Tear off this cloak of shadows, this web of ignorance, these shackles of decay, this living death, this conscious corpse, this portable tomb, this robber in the house, this enemy that hates all that you love, this garment that smothers you and holds you down. Ignorance floods the land. Its currents sweep you away. Don't be borne downstream. Make use of the backflow. Seek the safe haven of liberation. Anchor there and find a guide to lead you to the house of knowledge. There you will see with the heart the brilliant brightness. If you shut your soul up in your body and demean yourself, saying, I cannot know, I am afraid, I cannot ascend to heaven, then what have you to do with Atum? Wake up your sleeping soul. Why give yourselves to death when you could be immortal? You are drunk with ignorance of Atum. It has overpowered you, and now you are vomiting it up. Empty yourselves of darkness, and you will be filled with light. There is no greater mistake than to have the power to know Atum and not to use it. Simply wishing and hoping to know him is a road that leads straight to goodness. It is an easy road to travel. Everywhere Atum will come to meet you. Look, and he appears. At times and places when you least expect. While you are awake or asleep. When you travel by water or land. By night or by day. Whilst you are speaking or silent. This is because Atum is all. Chapter 17. Knowledge of Atum. In this chapter, Hermes teaches us how to attain knowledge of God. This, he declares, is the very purpose of human life. Only like can truly know like. So to know God, we must become like God. To do this, Hermes advises us to imagine ourselves in all places at all times, to embrace all opposites, to know we are immortal, to see ourselves as still in the womb and yet already dead. By expanding our consciousness in this way, we can merge with the mind of God. Mind is the immortal part of a human being. It is the divine light which emanates from God. Of all living things, human beings alone have this divine quality, which gives them the potential to know God. Such knowledge is not intellectual opinion. Opinion is only a dim reflection of knowledge. Knowledge is a direct experience of the truth. It is certain and immediate. An enlightened being does not have opinions about God. He is one with God. The experience of mind is like a prize that may be won by human souls. God wants us to immerse ourselves in mind and so become wholly divine. Yet those that do are thought mad by the mass of ignorant people. They are laughed at, despised, and even put to death. As history shows, this has often been the fate of the wisest saints and sages, such as Socrates and Jesus. Knowledge of Atum. To know Atum, you must share his identity, for only like can truly know like. Leave behind the material world and imagine yourself immeasurably expansive. Rise out of time to eternity. Believe that for you, nothing is impossible. See that you are immortal and learned in every art and every science. Be at home in the haunts of every living creature. Make yourself higher than the highest and deeper than the depths. Embrace within yourself all opposites, heat and cold, hard and fluid. Think yourself everywhere at once, on land, at sea, in heaven. Imagine yourself unborn in the womb, yet also young and old and already dead, and in the world beyond the grave. See that everything coexists within mind, all times and all places, all things of all shapes and sizes. Then you will know Atum. If it is possible to talk of the substance of Atum, then mind is the very divine substance, although only Atum knows its precise nature. Mind is not separate from Atum, but emanates from him, like light from the sun. In human beings, mind produces divinity. Through mind, some become godlike. For as Osiris teaches, gods are immortal men, and men are mortal gods. Mind is the divine part of a human being, which is capable of rising to heaven. The material part, consisting of fire, water, earth, and air, is mortal and remains earthbound, so that he does not abandon the body that has been entrusted to him. Soul is nourished by fire and air, and the body by water and earth. Mind is the fifth part, which comes from light, and is bestowed on humankind alone. Of all the beings that have soul, only human beings, elevated by this gift of mind, may attain knowledge of Atum. Such knowledge is not opinion, which is only a poor copy of knowledge, an echo in comparison with a voice, the dim reflected light of the moon compared to the brilliance of the sun. Mind and speech are great gifts that Atum bestowed on humans alone. Used wisely, they make a man like the immortal gods, only different in that he is incarnate in a physical form. When he leaves behind this body, mind and speech will be his guides, leading him to join the company of gods and other souls that have attained the supreme bliss. Other creatures have voice, but not speech. Each living creature has its own unique voice, but speech is shared in common by all humans. Humankind is one, and speech is also one. It is translated from tongue to tongue, yet whether in Egyptian, Persian, or Greek, the meaning remains the same. This is because speech is an image of mind, and mind is an image of Atum. By Atum's will, mind is like a prize that human souls may win. He filled a great bowl with mind and sent it down to earth, telling a herald to announce, "Listen, every human heart, immerse yourself in mind, recognize the purpose of your birth, ascend to him who has sent this bowl. Those that bathe themselves in mind find true knowledge and become complete. Yet they are not pleasing to the mass of men. They are thought mad and laughed at. They are hated and despised, and may even be put to death." Chapter 18, Rebirth. In this chapter, Hermes reveals the secrets of spiritual rebirth, through which we can awaken to our immortal soul. The inexorable working of destiny, imposed on man by the turning of the Zodiac, subjects all human beings to the pain of birth and death. Man's problem is that in his ignorance, he believes himself to be just a body, one that will grow old, suffer, and eventually die. His sense of injustice at the inevitability of this fate leads him to hurt himself and others, either through lust for more life or fear of approaching death, These crimes serve further to bind the soul to the body and so increase man's suffering. Purifying ourselves of ignorance is therefore the first step on the ladder that leads to rebirth. Rebirth is the knowledge of our own immortality. To escape the suffering inherent in our human predicament, we must be reborn in spirit. The spiritual path that we must walk is the same one trodden by our ancestors. It is a hard road to follow whilst incarnate in a physical body, because we must struggle to master ourselves. Right understanding purifies us of all the vices that torment us and awakens us to our immortal soul. One who is thus reborn communes with God, but this only happens when we stop talking about it and allow it to occur naturally in the silence and tranquility of deep contemplation. An enlightened being no longer believes he is a body. The body belongs to nature, not to him, and so its fate is of no importance. He is one with everything. He sees goodness everywhere. He is bathed in divine light. He has become all mind. Rebirth is not a theory that we can learn. It is a natural occurrence that happens when God wills it. All that we may do is prepare for this enlightenment by mastering our passions and accepting whatever fate may bring us. For a man with vision, all things are good, even if other people see them as evil. His knowledge of God gives him the ability to see goodness at work, even when he is mistreated by others. Those who are reborn are already living in the kingdom of heaven. Rebirth. No one can be saved until he is born again. If you want to be reborn, purify yourself of the irrational torments of matter. The first of these is ignorance. The second is grief. Third is lack of self-control. Fourth is desire. Fifth is injustice. Sixth is greed. Seventh is deceit. Eighth is envy. Ninth is treachery. 10th is anger. 11th is rashness. 12th is malice. Under these 12 are many more, which force the man who is bound to the prison of the body to suffer from the torments they inflict. But by Atum's mercy, they may all depart and be replaced by understanding. This is the nature of rebirth. This is the only road to reality. It is the way our ancestors trod, to discover primal goodness. It is sacred and divine, but a hard highway for the soul to travel in a body. For the soul's first step is to struggle against itself, stirring up a civil war. It is a feud of unity against duality, the one seeking to unite and the other seeking to divide. He who is reborn communes with the All-Father, he who is light and life. You will only experience this supreme vision when you stop talking about it, for this knowledge is deep silence and tranquility of the senses. He who knows the beauty of primal goodness perceives nothing else. He doesn't listen to anything. He cannot move his body at all. He forgets all physical sensations and is still, while the beauty of goodness bathes his mind in light and draws his soul out of his body, making him one with eternal being. For a man cannot become a god whilst he believes he is a body. To become divine, he must be transformed by the beauty of primal goodness. The womb of rebirth is wisdom. The conception is silence. The seed is goodness. Those born of this birth are not the same. They are of the gods, and children of Atum, the one God. They contain all. They are in all. They are not made up of matter. They are all mind. Rebirth is not a theory that you can strive to learn. But when Atum wills, he will remind you. A man may only seek to know Atum by controlling his passions and letting destiny deal as she wills with his body, which is no more than clay that belongs to nature and not to him. He should not attempt to improve his life by magic or oppose his fate using force, but allow necessity to follow its course. For the man of vision, all things are good, even if they appear evil to others. When men devise mischief against him, he sees it in the light of his knowledge of Atum, and he, and only he, transforms evil into goodness. Chapter 19. Secret Teachings. In this chapter, Hermes reviews his teachings and encourages us to go beyond his words to a profound realization of their truth. The teachings of the ancient mystery religions were closely guarded secrets. An oath of secrecy, punishable by death, was taken by all initiates. In reality, however, these secrets guard themselves. They are sacred, open secrets, written in the language of nature, in the movement of the stars and the singing of the birds. The answers are there for all who are able to look and listen with minds unclouded by others' opinions. Hermes has taught us some of these profound secrets. If we are not ready to receive them, we will simply not understand what we have read. Words lead us to the doorway of truth, but only by contemplating their meaning can we pass through. If we meditate on these teachings, we will know them to be true. If we don't, they will just be more concepts and opinions. Hermes has tried to paint a picture of God for us. If we can catch his vision, it will take possession of our soul and lead us to knowledge. It is hard to let go of our familiar way of seeing things. But by God's grace, we can be spiritually reborn and return to our original home. God is like a musician who creates the harmonies of the cosmos and gives each individual his own particular theme to play. If the music of life seems discordant to us, we should not blame the master musician, but ourselves. We are the out-of-tune instrument, which mars the beauty of his composition. Hermes reflects that when we devote ourselves to the spiritual path, we mysteriously become perfectly tuned. Hermes is aware of his own personal weaknesses, but God still makes him a perfect vehicle for his divine will, and can do the same for us if we are prepared to let him. Secret Teachings. Now that you have learnt these secrets, you must promise to keep silence and never to reveal how the rebirth is transmitted. These teachings have been set down in private to be read only by those whom Atum himself wills to know them. Only if you contemplate all that I have said will you know it to be true. If you do not, you will not believe me. For belief grows from contemplation, and disbelief from lack of thought. Speech alone cannot convey the truth, but the power of mind is extraordinary, and when it has been led by speech to think things through thoroughly, it can find the peace of true beliefs. Only if grasped by thought in this way will my teachings be understood. I have, as far as is possible, painted for you a likeness of Atum, which if gazed upon with the eyes of your heart, will lead you to the upward path. The vision itself will be your guide, for it has this power peculiar to itself, that it takes possession of those who have seen it and draws them out, just as a magnet draws iron from the black earth. This is the journey of knowledge. Speed towards this knowledge, for although it is hard to let go of the familiar and return to the old home from which we originated, Atum's grace never fails. There is no end to his bounty. He is by nature a musician who composes the harmony of the cosmos and transmits to each individual the rhythm of their own music. If the music becomes discordant, don't blame the musician, but the lyre string he plays, that has become loose and sounds flat, marring the perfect beauty of the melody. But I have noticed that when an artist deals with a noble theme, his lyre becomes mysteriously tuned, so that its deficiencies issue glorious music to the amazement of his listeners. It has been like this with me. I confess my weaknesses, but by Atum's power my music is made good, and he will likewise make your music perfect. There is no discord amongst the inhabitants of heaven. All have one purpose, one mind, one feeling, for they are bound by the spell of love into one harmonious whole. The earthly part of the universe would seem rude and savage without sweet melodies. This is why Atum sent down the choir of muses to live amongst humankind and inspire music, so that men could adore divinity with hymns of praise in polyphony with the psalms of heaven. So let us adore Atum with deep gratitude, because words are only praise when he accepts them. Chapter 20, In Praise of Atum. In this final chapter, Hermes offers up a glorious hymn to God. Through his teachings, Hermes has led us to the threshold of truth. All that he may do now is show us, by his own example, the joy and liberation of crossing over. He abandons himself in ecstatic rapture to a personal experience of God. He sings the praises of God, who is one and all, who loves us like a father and is the mother of everything, the eternal constancy which causes the whole universe to change, the goodness all around us. We can only thank God for his many blessings by learning to know his greatness. Yet Hermes knows it is God who is singing these psalms through him. God is all that we do, all that we say, all that we are, all that happens. Hermes has become a passive instrument of God's will. He no longer sees the world with physical eyes, but witnesses the unfolding changes of life within God's eternal mind. He is no longer a body, he is all mind. He is the presence which is present everywhere in everything. He knows the one. Hermes is overcome with mystical vision and realizes that while still in the body, he has been made a god. He prays for nothing, except that he will remain forever knowing and loving God. He is born again, and language is inadequate to express the wonders that he is experiencing. Like the gods, he can now only sing God's praises through silence. In praise of Atum. In a place open to the sky, facing west at the hour of sunset or east at sunrise, I pray that the cosmos be flung open to me, and that all nature may receive the sound of my psalms. Open, great earth and trees, silence your waving bows, for I am about to sing the praise of the one and all. Justice, praise the just through me. Goodness, praise the good through me. Truth, praise the true through me. Selflessness, praise the all through me. It is your words that through me sing your praises, for all comes from you and all returns to you. Accept these pure offerings of speech from a heart and soul uplifted, you of whom no words can tell, no tongue can speak, and only silence can declare. I thank you with a brimming heart, for it is only by your grace that I see your light and come to know you. I thank you whose name no man knows, you whom we honor with the title Atum, because you are our master, you whom we call Father, because you have shown us in all your acts towards us the loving kindness and warm affection that a father feels. No, your love is greater than a father's love, for you have given us the gifts of mind and speech and knowledge. Mind, so that we may approach you. Speech, so that we may call to you. Knowledge, so that we may experience you. Finding our salvation in your light and becoming filled with bliss. We can thank you only by learning to know your greatness. I have learnt to know you. You, the most brightly blazing light of mind. I have learnt to know you. You, the true life of humankind. I have learnt to know you. You, the prolific all womb which impregnates itself. I have learnt to know you. You, the eternal constancy which stands unmoved and causes the whole universe to revolve. Who can speak about you? Who can speak to you? Where shall I look to praise you, upwards or downwards? For you are space in which all things are contained. There is no place but you. All is in you. What offering can I bring you? For you are all things. You give everything and receive nothing. There is nothing that you lack. For what shall I praise you? For the things you manifest or the things you conceal? How shall I sing to you? Am I my own? Have I anything which is mine? Am I other than you? You are all that I am. You are all that I do. You are all that I say. You are all that happens. You are all that has not occurred. You are mind in your thinking. You are Father in your creating. You are Atum who does everything. You are primal goodness everywhere. You have revealed your being, and I am overcome. While I am still in the body, you have made me a god by the gift of your eternal life, and I am filled with joy. With these words of praise, I adore you, who alone are goodness. I make no prayer but this, that by your will I be kept always still knowing and loving you, and that I never fall away from this blessed life. Father, you have filled me with this good and beautiful vision. My mind's eye is almost blinded with splendor, more penetrating than visible light, yet so full of immortal life that it does not hurt or harm me. By your mercy, a form has been fashioned within me, which is not made of matter, and I have entered into an immortal body. I have been born again in mind, and the bodily shape I had before has left me. I am no longer an object, tangible, colored, with spatial dimensions. I am alien to all that is seen with bodily eyesight. To such eyes I am no longer visible. I am your instrument. Mind is your plectrum, and your wisdom plucks music from me. I sing a song of my soul, for your love has reached me. You have made me into a new being, and I no longer see with bodily eyes, but witness with mind. When a man is born again, he is not a body of 3 dimensions. He is all mind. Now that I see in mind, I perceive myself to be the all. I am in heaven and earth. I am in water and air. I am in beasts and plants. I am a newborn babe. I am still in the womb. I am yet to be conceived. I am the presence which is present everywhere. I see incredible depths. How can I describe this vision? With my mind I see mind. I know the one that wakes me from forgetfulness. I see my soul. I am afraid to speak. I have found the source of the power of all powers that has no beginning. I see a fountain bubbling with life. I am mind. I have seen. I have found that which I seek. I know peace in your purpose. By your will, I am born again. Language is inadequate. The gods sing a hymn of silence, and I am silently singing. End of the Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs, written by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy, read by Julian Brown.